What's going on, guys? My name is VivoTCG, and if you have been looking to grade your Pokemon cards or have been and looking to turn a profit on some, make some extra cash, well, this video is for you. Now, this video is not for people who just want to willy-nilly send in Pokemon cards and get them into slabs. That is just a whole different story. You do that at your own free will. But if you're trying to turn a profit, there are some things you need to consider. Whether you're sending to PSA, Beckett, CGC, Tag, etc., whatever you want to send with, this is how you're going to want to assess the cards that you're going to send in to turn the best profit. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with pricing. So we have PSA here first, and I'm going to break down kind of every company, very layman's terms, on if you're trying to make money, why you should send to that certain company. All right. So first we have PSA. These are all their pricings. I'm not going to go through all of them. The first two options, value bulk and trading card game bulk, is only if you have the collectors club. So you have to have their membership. Otherwise than that, you're going to be spending $27.99 a card, or anything further like value plus, value max, if you want it back at a shorter turnaround time. So they each have their own max insured value, and they're each going to have their own turnaround time. So PSA just recently actually raised their prices, except for trading card game bulk and value bulk. But everything else is raised, and the turnaround times are now worse. So that doesn't make anything better grading with PSA. But if you want the most consistent liquidity to sell any kind of slab, almost any kind of slab, I wouldn't say all of them, but almost any kind of slab, you're going to want to use PSA. Whether it's you get a 10, you get a 9, this is going to be the most liquid company to have a card in a slab if you want to sell it. PSA 100%. Even though they are a little controversial right now, PSA is going to be the best if you want liquidity. It's not going to give you the max value. It's not going to give you the max turnaround time or the greatest look, but they're just the ones that are going to give you that liquidity. All right, next we have Beckett. So Beckett grading, these are the prices. Honestly, I haven't looked at this in a while, and I thought there would be more tiers, but there really isn't. So we have our base, standard, express, priority. Priority, you actually get it back really fast and a lot cheaper than PSA. I believe PSA's walk-through service, which was like still 5 business days, was like $600. This is $124. So to kind of go back on PSA, if you have a certain higher grade card, get a high grade or a max value, you have to pay an upcharge to PSA. Sometimes they don't have you pay it. Sometimes they do. That's neither here nor there. Beckett, they don't. Now, the reason you would want to grade with Beckett is because it is the hardest to grade with. And by that, I mean they are going to be the toughest on your cards. So Beckett is going to be very meticulous on grading that card. But if you get a 10 or if you get a black label, you are definitely in the money. So if you want to really turn a profit, you grade with Beckett. But you have to make sure that that card is absolutely pristine, because getting a 9, a 9.5, it doesn't matter if it's Beckett and they grade really hard, and that 9 or 9.5 could be a PSA 10. It's going to be harder to move. It's going to be way harder to move than a PSA 9, and that's just how it is. But if you get a 10, it's going to be worth more than the PSA 10, and then the black label is going to be worth a bunch more, many multipliers, because black labels are very low population, so it's very hard to get that. So if you want to grade with Beckett, that's more of a gamble. But also, even if the card is worth $20,000 after they grade it, they do not upcharge you. Yeah, that is the beauty of grading with Beckett. But like I said, it's a gamble. I personally have never graded with Beckett, but I know a lot of people that have, because some people like to roll the dice. Like I said, you can make a lot of money doing this. But if you get a 9 or a 9.5, expect it to move pretty slow. Now, this is CGC grading. So they have a bunch of tiers, actually more than I thought they did. So CGC is more of the lower tier between the big three: PSA, Beckett, CGC. It looks like the turnaround times aren't too terrible for what you get, but still not as good as Beckett, in my opinion. So CGC does very well when it comes to bulk submissions from what I'm seeing. Looks like bulk submissions are very, very key to CGC. That's why you see a lot of whatnot streamers and people that do mystery bags use CGC a lot, probably because they could easily grade whatever card and it comes back super fast. And it's very cheap. It's the most cost-effective way. Now, CGC, I don't really see the biggest benefit to grading with them, unless you really like the company itself. Like I said, I feel like they are the cheapest to go with if you just want it in a slab. But the CGC Pristine 10s that are the gold, those are pretty nice. I do like the CGC Pristine 10s. They do give that out a lot easier than Beckett gives out their black labels, but it still is a nice look and does go for a pretty penny. But a CGC slab, even in a 10, is not going to go for as much as a Beckett nor a PSA 10. And then a CGC 9, 8 below, good luck moving that card. It is very, very, very rough to move a CGC slab. Just being honest, not showing any kind of hate towards CGC or anything. That's just how it is. If you regularly move slabs or have tried to and you've had a CGC, you know that it's very hard to move rather than a Beckett 10 or a PSA 10. That's just how it is. All right. Then lastly, we have tag grading right here. So these are all of tag's prices. They have changed in the past. So it looks like it's $20 a card on the value. That's a minimum of 10. I think they were doing a minimum of 20 for a little bit, but they've gone down to 10. They have the regular service, Express. Looks like some stuff is on sale like this Express for $40, priority at $150, and then walk through at $300. That's 1 to 2 business days. That is pretty quick. That is the quickest turnaround time. Not the best price, but the quickest turnaround time. Now, benefit with grading with tag. The slabs look the best. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, these slabs definitely look the best. I personally like tag. A lot of people show a lot of hate. I don't really know. Like I said, grading is subjective. Putting your cards in slabs are suggestive as well. I'm not saying which company to go with, which not to, but if you really like your card and it is for personal reasons, my opinion, tag is the best option. Tag is the best option. It's going to give you the most transparency for the cheapest price, because there are other companies that do AI that aren't on this list, or I think PSA, you have to pay out the wazoo for them to tell you what's wrong with your card, which is crazy to me. But tags, slabs don't move at card shows or card shops. They don't move. And by that, I mean you can't go and sell this slab right here to a vendor. You can't go and really sell this to a card shop. Some will take it, most will not. I guess because tag is still very new, very niche. Like I said, my opinion, I like tag. There's a lot of tag haters, a lot of tag lovers. You can either love them or hate them. The slabs look nice. That's end of story. They look the best. Don't care. But like I said, it's very, very hard to move these in person over at shows and card shops. But online, I have sold tag slabs on eBay and on my shop very, very easily, just as well as PSA. So I do see that in the foreseeable future, tag will be a little bit more respected. But as of right now, I would go for tag if you're looking for personal, or if you could sell these on eBay, 100%, because they go for just about the same price as a PSA 10, maybe a little bit lower. But I mean, it's not really a huge gap. Okay, so next I wanted to talk about gem rate. So gem rate is how often does that card get a 10? Gem mint 10. It's the layman's terms for it. How often does a card get a 10? So we're going to take a look at some extreme examples and why some cards have higher multipliers than others, and even higher multipliers than their other language counterparts do. So we have the Magikarp illustration right here. This is the Magikarp. So the total population of the card that PSA has received and graded currently right now is 19,309. And then from left to right is the grades from 10 to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You get the idea. So the reason why the Magikarp goes for so much money is because it is a very, very hard card to grade. PSA does not like giving out Gem Mint 10s on this. There is only 3,558 in a 10. So if you want to calculate the gem rate, we're going to do 3,558 divided by 19,309. What does that get us? That gives us a gem rate of 18%. So if you're new to grading, basically 18% is pretty bad. Not good. Most of the time, a solid card that usually will be consistent to get a 10 is about like 50, 60%. At least. This, like I said, 18%, very extreme case. The total 9s in this is 10,299. So it's basically triple the amount of 10s on the market. Now, if you want an easier way to look at this, you can go on eBay and just type in the card in a PSA 10. And right there, boom, it's going to show you the population. So it's going to show grade PSA 10. I'm pretty sure you can look at the other grades too. PSA 10 population, 3,558. This is an active listing, by the way, right now for this Magikarp. And it's going to show the total PSA population, 19,417. And then you could also press see all on the data, and it's going to show you everything else. But like I said, if you want an easier way to look at this, because sometimes looking on PSA's website is actually numbingly annoying, especially with no pictures and you have to scroll through. The easiest way you're going to want to do it is just go on eBay, type in the grade and the card, and then boom, it's just going to show it to you right there. eBay and PSA have this thing going. They're in bed with each other. That's neither here nor there, but basically it's very, very easy to see the population report for these cards. But yeah, with that 18% gem rate, that is why you see this card going for so high. It's very hard to find it in a 10. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Japanese counterpart, the Magikarp from Triple Beat. Exact same card. Okay? Exact same card. Very, very easy to pull. So you can see the total PSA population right here in Japanese, 47,072. And then we're looking at the PSA 10 population right here, 43,305. So if you guys don't know, Japanese cards have a higher quality to them. The QC, the quality control, is a lot better in Japan compared to English. So that's just how things are. That's how they've been. So it's a lot easier to get a 10, a Gem Mint 10, rather than the English counterpart. So that is why you see it going for $350 in Japanese versus $2,500 in English. Because it is so rare to get that in a 10, people will pay absorbent amounts of money for it in English. Yes, that does sound really dumb. Yeah. I don't know. I personally would rather collect Japanese. I have a lot more Japanese than I do English, but to each their own. But if you're looking to grade for a profit, you might want to look more towards English rather than Japanese. Japanese, you could still make a decent chunk of change, but the thing about Japanese is the multiplier is not that high compared to English. But you are also taking a higher risk doing English as well, especially on those cards that are very, very hard to gem. We'll go ahead and take a look at another extreme example. If you guys have already seen this card, $4,000. It is more expensive than the Evolving Skies Moonbryon. It doesn't make sense. But when you look at the pop report, then it starts to make sense. So this has a PSA 10 population of 3,120. And honestly, by now I thought there would be more. But there isn't. And the total PSA population that they've graded has only been 9,283. I was actually shocked because I was going to bring this card up for a video, and I'm still shocked that this is still below 10,000 and that this is only at 3,000. There's not that many, and that's really concerning because the price is outrageous. But like I said, the card raw, this card raw is going for like 1,100, and it looks like about a third of the time it's going to get a 10 for the ones that are sent in. So It's about a 33% gem rate. So we have $4,000 on the Moonbrand. That's about what it's going for. It's like 35 for 4,000. And then we have the Japanese counterpart. So this is a current one on bid. These end usually around like 525, 550, around there right now. Exact same card. Like I said, exact same card. In Japanese, it's not like it's in Spanish or anything like that. It's in a, it's in the second most popular language for the card, but the PSA 10 population is 50,631. This card, if you don't know, is very, very easy to pull compared to the English counterpart. And the total PSA 10 population is 57,336. So that is a very, very high gem rate. Very, very easy to send this in and get a 10. That is why you see this card going for $475 currently right now. Like I said, it's probably going to end 525, 550. To think about the Japanese card and the English card, and the English card going for about almost 8 times as much is it's crazy. It's crazy. But when you look at the numbers, it kind of makes sense in some terms, but why people pay those prices, I don't know. But those are some things to consider when you are sending in certain cards or when you are looking at certain cards to grade. Next, another thing I kind of want to go into is not all cards are going to be 10s. Even though they may look perfect, not all cards are going to be 10s, especially starting out. Because me starting out, and I'm sure everyone else who's pretty heavy into grading, has sent in cards that they think looks good, but there are things when they come back that you don't catch or that you never caught. Now, I'm not saying PSA or any of these guys are perfect, but you need to double, triple check your cards, because look at this Latias right here. Now, to a normal person, this may seem, just looking off the front, flawless, right? May see an absolutely flawless card. It is beautiful. The centering, it goes within the 55, 45. Everything looks like it checks out on the front. But if you didn't see, right there on the neck, I'll zoom in closer. If you see that dot on the Latias's neck, that is actually some missing holofoil. Something that I actually missed when I was grading this last time. If you see that nick right there, that whitening, boom, I would automatically not send this in again. And then you see on the top left, we got some, and there's also a little bit of surface dent right there. So you have to look out for certain things. There's scratches. You have to look out for centering. You have to look out for dents, anything like that, whitening. Especially on older sets too, you have to look out for like hollow scratches, print lines. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of tools that you could use to benefit you more and prepare you for what cards you should and should not send into a grading company. And then circling back to the first point I was talking about on everybody's grading prices, you have to consider what everyone charges and how much you're going to pay for your card. So I was looking to maybe grade this Legendary Treasures Mew. Now, I know this card is not perfect. I'm not going to take it out or anything. You can kind of probably see that there's a little bit of scuff to it, a little bit of whitening. It's not bad. It looks like it would grade like a 6 or a 7, 6, 7. But the thing is, you have to consider and kind of pre-grade for yourself. You have to consider what you think the card is going to get beforehand, not just sending it in willy-nilly. Otherwise, you're probably going to eat your grading costs, and it's just not going to be worth it to send in the card. So I was looking at this, and I was looking at, what 6s and 7s are selling for on eBay. And it was about the price that I had bought the card raw, plus my grading fees. If I get a 7, that's like at some... by the grace of God, if I got a 7, then I would be in the green. I would make, a little bit of money, probably like 100, 120 bucks. But if I got a 6, I would basically make a wash. So I thought to myself, I really don't think it's worth sending it in. So I'm just keeping it raw. Those are things that you have to consider before sending in cards. You really have to pre-grade yourself, and you have to be the hardest on yourself, because the graders, They can be easy on you, but it is their job to definitely nitpick your cards. Now, look, I'm not going to talk forever on cards that you should or should not grade all day, because we could be here for a whole week, hell, probably even a month. But the thing is that a lot of people are starting to grade. Grading is more popular than it has ever been, even at the last boom. And a lot of people have to be careful. I know a lot of people see dollar signs when grading, but the thing is that you can't just dive head first without knowing how to grade yourself. And there's a lot of tools that you could use, a lot of assessing of your own cards before you just dive head first, and then you could potentially lose money. But anyways, I hope you guys learned something about grading cards today. If you guys liked the video, please drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and then also buy my stuff on vivotcg.com. If you guys like slabs, I do have slabs on my site, and I will see you guys in the next one.